All right, let's get right into it. Today we're taking a close look at one of the most subtle and honestly one of the most powerful laws from a book that's famous for being pretty ruthless. We're talking about Law 45, The Art of Gradual Change.
And of course, we're pulling this from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. You know, some people see this book as a brilliant guide to strategy, others see it as a pretty dark, Machiavellian playbook. But either way, the core idea is really simple. Power isn't some kind of magic, it's a game with rules. And this book breaks down 48 of them, based on thousands of years of human history.
And Greene doesn't mess around. He puts it right out there in the preface with this quote. He's not saying these are just some good ideas or suggestions. Nope. He's arguing that these are fundamental principles, the bedrock of how people interact, and they've proven themselves over and over again.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the book's whole philosophy. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of Law 45 itself. After that, we'll explore the paradox of human nature that makes this law so necessary, break down the actual strategy it recommends, and then wrap things up by asking a pretty tough question about where this all leads.
Okay, first up, the Book of Power. The whole idea here is that if you understand the raw, unfiltered dynamics of power by looking at history, at the big wins and the epic fails, you can navigate your own world so much better. It's really about seeing the invisible currents that are actually pushing things along.
And that brings us right to the main event, unveiling Law 45. I mean, just look at that title, Preach Change, but Go Slow. It's brilliant. It immediately points to this deep contradiction in how we, as humans, deal with any kind of progress.
So here's the law in full. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. What's the genius here? It's the understanding that big, sudden change, even if it's for the best, is really jarring for people. It's almost guaranteed to trigger a massive backlash. So this law advises a much smarter approach.
So why do you need to be so tactical? Why can't you just make the change and get on with it? Well, that question leads us directly to the paradox of change. Because at its core, Law 45 is a really sophisticated answer to a basic problem with us humans, our deep, almost primal resistance to anything new. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? On an intellectual level, of course. We all want things to improve. We want innovation. We want progress for our jobs, our lives, everything. But that's just the abstract idea of change. The day-to-day reality, that's a whole different ballgame.
And this is the central conflict. In theory, yeah, bring on the progress. But in practice, radical change feels like the rug is being pulled out from under us. It destroys our routines, the very things that make us feel stable and safe. We're not just creatures of habit. Our habits are a part of who we are. So when you threaten them, it can feel like a direct, personal attack. And that is the resistance you'll always face. So if going fast and hard is a recipe for disaster, what's the move? Well, this is where we get into the truly clever strategy of the law, the art of slow reform. The goal isn't to stop change, it's to camouflage it so brilliantly that people barely notice it's happening.
And the strategy really breaks down into this three-step process. First, you make a big public show of respecting the past. You praise the old traditions, you honor what came before. That immediately makes people relax. Second, you bring in your changes slowly, one little piece at a time, never all at once. And then third, and this is the masterstroke, you talk about the new thing as if it's not revolutionary at all. No, it's just a gentle improvement on the old familiar way. You make the new feel comfortable.
Now, to make sure these lessons really sink in, the book does something incredible. It doesn't just tell you the law, it shows you. Every single one of the 48 laws is just packed with stories from history, real, vivid examples of people who used the law to win and people who ignored it and, well, crashed and burned. The way each chapter is built is a lesson in itself. For every law, you get what's called an observance of the law, a story of someone who got it right and reaped the rewards. And then you get a transgression of the law, a cautionary tale of someone who broke the rule and paid a heavy price. It's such a powerful way to learn, right? You see the wins and you see the losses. So this all leads us to the big, unavoidable question that hangs over this law, and really the whole book. Is this just being smart and strategic, or is it just plain manipulation? The answer really comes down to mastering the power of perception. Law 45 is all about managing how other people see the changes you're making. Which leaves us with this one crucial question to think about. Where's the line? When does carefully guiding people through a tough change by making it feel safe and familiar cross over into just straight up deceiving them about what's really going on?
Law 45 doesn't give you an easy answer, because in the game of power, that line is often blurry on purpose.